Happy Friday to you. Thank you so much for letting us join you for a look at our markets here on the final trading day of the week. Well, I'm joined by Brian Hoops. Now, he is, excuse me, he's president of Midwest Market Solutions. Now, Brian, I understand a little birdie just told me in my ear that we had an overnight export sale to talk about. And it sounds like it was a sale to China. And it sounds like this time, oddly enough, it was some wheat, soft red wheat. I just wondered if you had the lowdown on this.
Yeah, good morning, Marlon. We don't normally see China buying wheat or the soft red variety. Most of our wheat that would be exported is hard red wheat, and very little of the spring wheat is sent off to other countries for export. Most of that is kept here for domestic milling purposes. But the soft red wheat sale to China, I think, is opening the door for additional wheat purchases by China. It's so hard to get good information out of their country as far as supplies go, but we know that their corn stocks have been dwindling in recent years. I think their wheat stocks as well, and it's a good indication that demand is starting to improve for this wheat crop. And there is some concerns overall about the supplies. Russia's crop has been downgraded this week by ICAR. They lowered their estimate due to poor yields, and so there is some concerns on the world basis of world supplies. Not that they're suggesting that we're extremely tight or anything, but just that there's enough countries that are having some troubles that China and other countries are in here trying to secure some wheat for future needs.
Well, interesting developments in our grain trade overnight. And I want to take a look at our quote boards overnight with our quotes provided by Bar Chart. And let's go to the corn first. We had December 4 3/4 higher at 561. But it had been about 10 cents lower than that overnight. Now, when I had gone to bed last night, everything was kind of soft again and just barely holding steady, if that. Now it firmed up this morning. And then you get to our soybeans, and here you had the November new crop. Well, this morning it was 14 1/4 higher at 13.94 1/4, well off its earlier low from last night when it got down to 13.77. So that's quite a rebound there. That's about a 17-cent turnaround, and we're within about 3 cents of our high of the overnight trade. Brian, it seemed to me that on the corn and also on the soybeans, both of those started to elevate around 2:30 or 3 o'clock Central Time overnight. It'd be like 3 a.m. And there must have been something that came across, hit the news wire or something at that point. What do you have any idea what that was right during that time frame, because it went higher ever since?
Yeah, we did start off a little bit softer in the overnight markets, like you mentioned. A lot of the foreign buyers will step in the middle of the night, and of course that's when they get to work and during their middle of their day because of the time difference. So we see it as 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, but it's their morning hours. They're coming to work. So some of these foreign buyers are stepping in, buying this market, looking at these weather forecasts that suggest a return to hotter and drier conditions. The 7-day precip models really don't show that much accumulation north of I-70, and that runs from Kansas City to St. Louis. So a lot of precipitation south of that. We're getting rain here in Springfield this morning, in fact, and expected to all day. But north of there, it's not a lot of forecast accumulation. And then you look at the longer term models, 8 to 14 day, that takes us out into August. And we're going to add some weather premium in because of these forecasts. It's a return to more June-like temperatures and conditions, hotter than normal, drier than normal, which would be very detrimental to soybean yields. And when we talk about filling out the corn cob, we look at August weather and September weather, and we're same thing in soybeans. We're flowering right now. We need rain and cooler temperatures, and that is not what the forecast is.
Yeah, I saw a new 30-day outlook that was posted yesterday from the Weather Office. And for 30 days on the temperature up in the northern plains and northern Rockies again, boy, it is just going to be unbearably hot again. And on the moisture, this time they have tended to kind of shift it further east and southward so that most of the Corn Belt is at best going to have average moisture. And it looks like a good share of the Corn Belt, maybe the northwestern half, could have below average moisture at the same time. Kind of concerning out there. Let's take a look at this wheat market then. We did get that news about this wheat sale this morning. So how's it holding up? Well, we have the December Chicago wheat 14 and a quarter higher at 693. September is 14 and a half higher. In Kansas City, you have that September contract 13 and a half higher at 653 and a half, and December up 13 and a half cents. And all eyes, of course, are on Minneapolis wheat. We have September spring wheat 22 and three quarters higher at 916 and three quarters, 20 cents off of its overnight low and 3 cents from its high of the overnight trade. We'll come back in a moment and we'll talk about our livestock trade. What's going on there when we come back? Now let's talk about our livestock trade with Brian Hoops of Midwest Market Solutions. Brian, what do you see happening here? Is there any cash cattle trade left to do here on a Friday, or are we done for the week, or what?
Yeah, I tend to think we are completed for the week. There may be some cleanup sales today, but the bulk of the trade has been completed, and it's really two-tiered type market. In the north, in Nebraska and northern states, numbers are much tighter. They're pulling cattle further ahead, and packers bidding up for that inventory this week, and probably into next week. I've heard some talk that there may be over $2.02 paid in a couple weeks in advance. But in the southern trade, we've been softer. We saw the Fed cattle exchange this week trade as low as 117 on some heifers, and these, it's been a struggle more in the southern plains. So we are looking probably at some choppy lower markets, I want to say, out of the gate here this morning, with the cutout values being lower and with the corn market being higher. That's probably going to weigh on the feeder cattle. So it's going to be a struggle, but the Goldman roll did end this week, and we have seen August gain against October and December over the last several trading sessions. So it's been, a market here that August is trying to lead the market higher despite cash weakness in some of the southern plains.
So yesterday we closed live cattle mixed, a little weakness on the nearby contracts and a little strength on the deferreds. Kind of similar in the feeder cattle trade. August was 42 higher, but September was unchanged yesterday. And on the lean hogs, we went home yesterday with August 80 lower, but everything else higher, 17 to 65 cents higher on the other months. Well, Brian, thanks for the help this morning. Brian Hoops, Midwest Market Solutions. Tammy, we're about ready to rock and roll.